of Purdue Northwest in the Strachan Van Til studios. And we got some people in here today I'd like to introduce you to. And the guy at the end of the table is maybe well known to some of you and maybe not, but he's certainly well dressed and he's drinking some of our coffee, so he's up and ready to go today. Will, how are you today?
Good morning. 219, stand up. Thank you for welcoming me to WJOB. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Will. I'm going to push you on top of that microphone a little bit. You could pull that out of there if you feel more comfortable. I know you've held microphones in your past.
Certainly.
There you go.
Certainly.
Well, where'd you grow up?
Gary, Indiana.
What part?
East side of Gary, Indiana. They call it Gutterville currently. Stand up Gutterville, 1601 Georgia, what it is.
1601 Georgia.
Absolutely.
And so that would be Gutterville. Is that on the edge of Tolliston, basically?
No, that's directly behind Pulaski Middle School.
Okay. So you're right behind Pulaski Middle School. What was it like growing up for you?
I mean, it was a middle class area at the time that I was growing up in. The area is now a very dilapidated area. It's very impoverished area. But it's still what I represent. No matter what it's become, it's still what I represent. And I take that across the country and hopefully across the world with me.
Represent what?
I represent the culture. I represent the ideas. I represent a dream from the area. You know, there's always a dream, regardless of where you go in life. There's always an existing dream still there. So I want to let them know the kids that's still there that they can still come outside that area. They can grow and live a successful life and come outside an impoverished area.
You got into your late teens, early 20s. What happened?
Move. My parents split. Come from a broken household. I had never knew my father, biological father. I was raised by my stepfather, James Swinney. My mother, rest in peace, Dorothy Wallace. They split at age 17. I moved to Hammond, Indiana. That's how I got familiar with Hammond, Indiana. Went to Hammond Gavitt, and from there, I really got indoctrinated in the gang life, the streets. I did graduate high school with a diploma. I'm a very intelligent young man most of my life, but I decided to move to the streets because these were the things that was getting glamorized.
What do you mean move to the streets?
My mentality, as well as my physical. So, you know, you are where your ideas are, where your thoughts are, regardless of what it says on paper, what your address is. You are where your mentality resides and what you do in your mind and your actions.
Got in some trouble, huh?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about
it. I've been doing music. I've had a passion for music since about age 13. And after graduating high school and getting into the streets, I invested most of my money into my passion, which was music. And, guys who were envious of me decided to do what most people do without an education, without a future, so they believe. And they decided to take an attitude against what I was doing. And I wasn't doing anything at the time that no one else could do themselves. They could do what I was doing themselves if they had the initiative to do what I was doing. But what I was doing at the time appeared to be a whole lot to them, and I believe it was jealousy and envy. You know what I mean? That brought it against me. There was a shooting that occurred 1999, September 99. I was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and subsequently sentenced to 35 years in prison.
September. Move that over to the right. They want to see your face.
Okay.
On the cameras better.
Okay.
Where was the shooting?
Tapper Street and Dracker Street in Hammond, Indiana, East Hammond, Indiana.
Not too far from where we're sitting right now.
Exactly.
So you going to Gavitt, hanging out in Gavitt, you may have walked right in front of these windows before.
Absolutely.
So all of a sudden you find yourself going to prison for 35 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What were those years like? How many years you spend in prison?
Well, it was 17 and a half. I did 17 years, 8 months in prison. That was the full amount of time. When you get, and now it's different. It's 75 to 85%. At the time, you do 50% of your time, 2 for 1. So I did the full term. uh, with extra money included. And I got college education while I was there, 2 degrees from Ball State, certified landscaper. And at the same time, I had my share of troubles. I did segregations, assaults on staff, all the things that prison entail with a tenure as long as I did. There's no way you're going to live in, prison is an unnatural environment. So there's no way you're going to live in prison for almost 20 years and not encounter some difficulties.
Who's the person to your right here?
The person to my right, that's my son. That's my one and only son. That's Willie Wallace Jr. He's an artist on my label. He goes by the name of Scotty Mobb. He's a very talented young man. He was in his mother's belly when I went away. He spent his whole life watching me in prison. He never got to see his dad free until actually 8.5 months ago. So it's a beautiful moment for us to share these type of moments. I take him with me in life. I'm trying to mentor him and show him better things in life, some things I promised myself I'd do in my incarceration. So he's here with me today.
You want Willie or Scotty?
It really don't
All right,
matter.
let me turn him up there. Hey, so you were in your mom's belly when that came about, right?
Right.
All right, get right on top of that mic, will you? There you go. And so when you were born, your dad was already in prison?
Yeah.
So would you go visit him in prison
Yeah, like probably like twice a month.
twice a month?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I mean, it was hard, but like we had a good relationship, so like we had just like we built on it like every time.
So let me just paint a picture here. You're 12 years old, right? Were you going to Pierce or where'd you go?
Nah, and I was at Pulaski Middle School.
Pulaski, you were in Gary, and then you moved to Maryville. Now you're going to Maryville High now? No.
No.
Okay, so you moved to Maryville. So you're a local guy, and you got to go see your dad, and you're 12 years old, and you go visit him in prison. What does he say to you?
He's basically trying to lead me away from, you feel me, where he's at right now. He kept me out of trouble, you feel me, gave me advice, you feel me, he just told me, you feel me, you don't want this, you feel me.
How did you take that?
I tried to use his advice as best as I can, you feel me. I had my mistakes, you feel me. Everybody gonna, you feel me, make mistakes, but you feel me. I used his advice, you feel me, to the best advantage I could.
Let's talk about the music now, Will.
Absolutely.
All right, now before you go in, you're over here at Gavitt, and you were already working in music and rapping and singing and doing your own music, right?
Yeah, well, I had been out of high school almost 10 years. I went to jail at 27 years old. So I was already almost 10 years out of high school. Had been on the streets. I incorporated my own business. Ignis/Slewfoot Music, as it remains today, was a legally incorporated business. Nothing was illegal about what I was doing on the business side. And had I known what I know now, of course, everyone says that in their maturation, I would have took a different route and done different things. But I'm glad things happened the way they did. They make my story. Only thing I regret is not being instilled with more things from adults, or not more adults getting involved in my life and being left to my own devices when I was younger. Those are my, only regrets. I don't regret my life, or I wouldn't be sitting here on WJOB right now. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen. Some things I believe. I'm a spiritual guy. Islam is my belief. And it's no aspersion to any other belief, but that's my belief. It taught me a lot during my incarceration, and I give no apologies for my life. It is what it is. Take it or leave it. I feel like I'm a great guy. I've always been great at heart. I love to help people. I didn't burn any bridges, quote unquote, along the way. No one in the streets can tell you anything bad about me. I wasn't that type of guy. So I'm proud of who you see right here before you right now. Even with my mistakes, everyone has mistakes in life. I own up to them, and I don't look back. I move forward.
We're talking to Will Skrilla. He is a Hammond Gavitt graduate, and if you're just joining us, you're on your way to wherever you're going. Drive safely, by the way. And it's a very slick morning out there. But Will went to Gavitt over here, and then at the age of 27 went into prison for 17 years, 8 months for a shooting. And he's out now for about 8.5 months. And let's get an update on your music career right now.
Well, right now, the music is looking beautiful. In 8.5 months, I've posted 3 videos. I have a number of labels who are interested. We even have a distribution deal that's in discussion. I'm doing many features with artists. By the way, if anyone's interested, currently features of $500, if I can say that, to get myself. This is a serious music label brand. We're doing the most prominent numbers for a label right now. And we're going to put out the best reality music that the streets has heard in a long time. So, God has put me in this position to be not only an artist, but a music mogul. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Reality music, what is that?
Reality music is the music that you can identify with according to life. I don't rap things that are fictional, whether it's my story or not. It's typically something that's realistic. Reality music is what you feel, the pain, the struggle, the happiness, the joy. I don't necessarily talk about the trends a lot in my music. Trends come and they go. You know what I mean? Those aren't a reality. Your bills will still be due. Whoever you lost in life, they'll still be passed away. This is the reality. Whatever you wake up with in the morning is your reality. So I'm not just going to, a lot of rappers of today, they wake up, they put on certain clothes, certain jewelry, get in leased cars and rental cars that aren't theirs. That's not the reality. I drive my own car. I talk about my own reality or someone else's who's close to me that I'm able to vocalize.
So, what have you learned from all of this that will prevent you from perhaps re-entering the life of the streets that you once lived?
Well, I'll always be a part of the streets. I don't have to re-enter the streets. I am the streets.
Yeah, maybe in a negative fashion, or put yourself in positions where you might, in compromising positions. How can you avoid those?
I have a philosophy. It's not my own. It's what I've adopted, and it's going to be the name of my upcoming album. This is my first album, and it's intellect over emotion, the I over the E. And especially for no aspersion to the female gender, but especially for a man. It's very unattractive for a man to operate and respond out of his emotions. Everything you do in your response should be based on logic and reason and intellect. You're entitled as a human being to feel any way you want to feel. That's natural. But your responses should always be based on a forethought or afterthought or reason or logic. So, right now at this present day and going on to the rest of my life, it'll be I over E. It'll be intellect over emotion in my responses. So I can live with the decisions that I make.
We're talking to Will Skrill. I've got a few minutes. You want to talk to him? Do it right now. 219-845-1100. 219-845-1100. And, Will, I'm just curious. You're in prison for all these years.
Yes, sir.
And then you're not.
Yes, sir.
What is that transition like?
It's euphoria. Euphoria. Technology was the biggest thing to get reacclimated to. The mentality, I actually think I'm advanced more than a lot of people in society, and that doesn't necessarily relate to education. It's my approach to life. A lot of things that appeal to people materialistic out here. I wore the same clothes and same things, for almost 18 years. I had to live in the same environment, the same cell, live out a gray box. So I'm not impressed by a lot of things that impress people of today out here. I don't strive for those things. Of course, I like nice things. I wouldn't say that I'm not materialistic, but my mentality is different. You know what I mean? I don't take things for granted. The small things are important to me. Being able to move my limbs, wake up in the morning, pray, say I love you, be nice to someone, and just do what I want to do. My freedom, your freedom is nothing like your freedom. It's when you're incarcerated and someone else is telling you when to wake up, when to shower, what to do, what time to eat, what time to go to bed, what time you can be seen by the doctor. All these things that people in society take for granted. You welcome that when you return to society with elation.
All right, you guys can all hear? All right, we're going to take a couple phone calls. Let's go. Which way are we going, Ryan? Let's go to number one first. MX, you're on with Will Skrilla. Go ahead.
Hi, Will.
Good morning.
Do you know Mayor Tom?
Yes, sir. Tom Dedalo?
Tom McDermott.
I mean McDermott, I'm sorry.
Dedalo is me and my cousin who was before him. That happens a lot, but
Same thing. He has a festival of lakes, and I'd like to see you perform there and give you a chance to start all over. And I would like to see JED play some of your music.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We can make that happen. Actually, it's ironic that you asked that. Someone about a month ago mentioned that to me. Of course, I've never been at that venue, but I would love to perform for the city and come out and give my best. I have a unit, not just myself. I have a young squad with me, and they're hungry, talented guys. So absolutely, I'd come out and do the venue.
If you can
Well,
talk
I've
to the
never
mayor
been
and
at
make
the
it
venue
happen.
either, but if you play, I'll go.
All right, Ken, are you the guy that makes that happen?
I said, if you can talk to the mayor and make it happen, we there.
Oh, I make a lot of things happen, but
he's not
necessarily. Ask the mayor.
Yeah, he's not necessarily one of the.
I'd like to see it happen, and I'll let you go.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, let's see how Nitro's doing. Nitro, how you doing?
What's up, my dude?
What up?
What's up, Tro?
Man, I'm just want to say, man, I'm proud of you, man. Keep pushing. You know what I'm saying?
Man, thank you. Long time friend
Keep
right
pushing.
there, Nitro, man. Thank you, bro. God
Man.
bless you and yours, man. I appreciate it, bro, and I love you. I told you when I got out, man, it's nothing but the stars and skyrockets for us, man. We here.
That's what's up, man. Love, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll holler at you later.
All
Hey,
right,
wait a second, Nitro. How long have you known Will?
Man, since high school, probably a little time before that. We was in the trenches together.
For sure that.
Where did you meet him, in Gary or in Hammond?
Hammond Gavitt. I also went to Hammond Gavitt also.
You went to Gavitt. What was Will Skrilla like in high school?
Smart. He had an intellect, man. We used to rap all the time in school. I think our class was an introduction to business. Mr. Alexander, you remember, bro?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I know him a long time friend, man. I'm proud of it.
So tell us more about Will. What about with the women?
I ain't gonna put his business out there. I mean, you know, we all was kind of flashy and fly.
It was high
Coming
school.
up.
Everybody was having fun back then. Put it that way.
So he had some skills. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
We
we'll
all
leave it
did.
at that. All right, Nitro, good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in.
I love Tro.
All right, we're up
All right.
against the clock here, and I want to thank you for the shirts here. Let's take a look here.
Yeah.
All right, let's look here. This one says
English/Slewfoot music.
Ignis Slewfoot Music. Ignis
Absolutely.
Slewfoot Music. Is that
Yeah.
the name of your
Absolutely.
label?
Yes.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man, that's nice. Now, these are for us?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will wear this
Absolutely.
stuff. Why not? Ignatz Slewfoot Music. Now, last question.
Absolutely.
Spent 17 years in prison.
Yes, sir.
Got your kid here. 5 years from now, what are we going to see out of Will Skrilla?
5 years from now, of course, I plan to be. I won't say any vague statements like I'll be at the top. Of course, I'll be there, God willing, with every breath that God's allowed. But what you can see is a guy who's come out of prison, who's broken the stereotypes, who owns his own business, who owns his own clothing line, who's mentoring young men, who's teaching young men to avoid prison and the stereotype and the culture of being incarcerated as well as death, because it's not just incarceration, it's death. You'll see a guy who's expanding his business more than just on a national level. I want to take it overseas. And you're going to see a spiritually grounded guy. And I want to say this, before I leave. They say in my belief that there's three things that'll keep rendering you blessings even after you've entered the grave. And those things are a knowledge that continues to give long after you're gone, a charity that continues to give that you created long after you're gone, and a pious child. So I plan to have all three upon my death, and those things will cement my legacy. You know what I mean? So, I appreciate this opportunity this morning. It's Ignis/Slewfoot music to the death of me. I thank you all for supporting us for all these years. This is the only historical music label in this area code that's been here almost 20 years in the making. We've returned stronger than ever. I'm still included. We got a new young class of young talented artists. Shout out Slimmatic. Shout out Shada Nevels. Shout out Roxy Love. Cuz is here. Shout out my brother Nathan Riley. Shout out CK. Shout out the mother of my children. I want to say special shout out this morning to one of the most precious things in my life, which is my daughter's, her birthday. Destiny to Neil Wallace. Extremely blessed Wallace. We love you. Your little brother and nine, your uncle is here. Mike, the cameraman, is here. We can't forget Mike. And we love all the fans and those that support us, man, and all the real. Shout out to my true friends, fams, and family. Ronald Robinson, everybody, too many to name. Jeffrey Deloney, Jose Ortiz, you know what I mean? So many to name. I can't name, but I'll name you all, but I love you all. 100.
Will Skrilla, my friends, you could catch him again on Facebook Live if you missed some of that, and on Twitter and on YouTube. And this will end our video portion of the broadcast.